This program is rated PG. It contains themes and scenes which may not be suitable for very young audiences. Parental guidance is advised.
Be advised that the views and opinions of the hosts and guests do not reflect those of the station.
You are what you watch.
Hello, my name is Harrison Watko. Welcome to our program. We have a lot of issues confronting us with the elections upcoming. We've got issues with the candidates that are self-eliminating each other out of the race. Soon, like I said last week, we will only have one real option, and that would be Vice President Binay. Well, at the rate that's going, it depends. Now, if the president, Noynoy, is taken out before then maybe these complications just might get more complex. But let's look at the totality. What exactly is happening in the Philippines, and why are these things happening? Last week, we had Cam Mentong, Herman Tiu Laurel, and former Senator Kit Taddad. And Mentong kept stressing the point, the role of the Americans in the geopolitics that's going on all over the world. You've got the instability, of course, in Europe. You've got the refugee crisis. You've got the infiltration of ISIS, so to speak. Then you've got Russia, the aggressor being Russia going to Crimea and elsewhere. You've got China, which is now the volatile world power, so to speak. And as of late, you've got the H-bomb that was just blown up, so supposedly, or tested by North Korea. Well, what exactly is happening? Here in the ASEAN, it's not exactly all roses, with some ASEAN countries transitioning into what we call American democracy. You've got Myanmar, you've got Cambodia, you've got Laos, and we've got a lot of movement, not to mention Thailand and the other ASEAN countries that are all becoming more complex. Now, when something happens in one side of the world, there is always a cause and effect in the other side, especially with what we call the financial considerations. It seems all banks somehow are interconnected, investments are very much the same, and with a world power like America, it seems its fingers are well dipped into every well, literally. So how do we begin to understand our politics vis-a-vis international politics? You've got the strength of the dollar. Meantime, we've got our Filipinos, our 10 million Filipinos that are growing and that are all around the world. How does this all affect us? How do we begin to understand, and how should we generate critical thought? In this program, I've asked Butch Valdez to come sit with us to help us identify the many issues going around the world. He has had his own program right here in GNN. He has a radio program for the last 13 years. It's on DZXL. That's 882 at the AM dial.
No, 558.
558 at the AM dial. He also is the founder, or he is the chairman of LaRouche Society for the Philippines, and he's also the chair for Save the Nation. Hi, Butch. Thanks for being in the program.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Alam mo, every time I have you, I tend to keep quiet and do a lot more listening than talking, which is maybe the way hosts really should be instead of being more talkative. But let's start with that very broad question. The world today, which is our topic, nasaan na ba talaga tayo ngayon? Ano ba nangyayari? I mean, as of this moment?
As of this moment, the world is probably facing the greatest crisis it ever faced in the whole history of the world. In the whole history, and I don't say that with any kind of qualification.
Hindi kaya masyadong doomsayer. Why
well-
such a big crisis when we don't see it in our country? Our president is saying, "Dan matuwid, we've done so well. Of course, the poor are getting poorer and the rich are getting richer, but why the world
That's even
specific?
part of the crisis, Sahari, that we don't see it. Because generally, this type of problems that we're facing should normally be seen if those that are in control would allow you to see it. But especially in the Philippines, but in many parts of the world as well, the attention of the people is being geared towards the so-called non-issues or lesser issues.
Media, using media.
Using media. Media is the weapon. I don't even say it's a tool, but it's a weapon precisely to
Misguide.
mislead the general public
yes.
as to what we should be focusing on. As you had said earlier, I'm head of a Save the Nation movement. It's a movement that we started years ago.
I remember.
Because at that time we were already seeing that there's going to be more and more and more of these difficulties. Now the reason I say the world has reached a point where it's facing the greatest crisis ever.
When you say
Because-
crisis, do you qualify financial versus, or war, or food
It's
insecurity?
a crisis of self-destruction. You see, there are two major storms that are converging right now. No? If you've seen that movie, The Perfect Storm.
Yes,
no?
yeah.
The world is now facing precisely that, a perfect storm, wherein there is a global financial contagion. As we speak now, it's in process. It has been going on over so many days now.
It is not what you're saying that China's triggered into the financial system.
No, that is what they want us to
think.
believe.
Yun ang nababasa ko eh.
No, yeah. That it was because China had devalued its currency. No, China is taking a defensive posture because of what is now happening in the world financial system. Now, it is being triggered by the collapse of the system sa what we call the transatlantic region, which is the United States or Americas and Europe. No? All the banks here are in great crisis. They can't pay their debts. The bond market, no? The junk bond market, which is now hitting over $100 billion, no? are not going to be paid. No? And many places like Puerto Rico is now bankrupt and cannot pay $77 billion. And many other.
Problema na America and Puerto Rico, maliit lang naman yan because
Yeah.
it's a sub-state. It's not
Right.
even a full-blown
Right,
state.
but when you put it together with all of this, just to give you an idea, the total speculative bubble that has been created over the years, which means, when you print up money to create that bubble, you create a debt. Because when you print up, it has a cost, right? It's like, okay, I will lend you the money at 1% per annum, right? So it has a cost. It's not just printing money and giving it to the banks. They have a cost to that. So they owe, right? The total,
Ang utang hindi nawawala,
hindi
namamaga.
namamaga. When they have over the years, you put together, what's his name, George Bush and Obama together. They have blown up a bubble, a total of about $2 quadrillion.
Quadrillion, not
Yeah.
trillion, huh?
2 quadrillion means 2,000 trillion.
Yeah, 2,000 trillion.
1 trillion is 1,000 billion, right?
1,000 billion.
Just to give you an idea.
1,000 trillion.
Yeah. So it's 2,000
Quadrillion.
2,000 trillion dollars now, which is the bubble, which is a debt, which is based on the speculative investments that have begun in. No? Now, the total asset, productive asset of the world, the whole world, that includes little factories and businesses and so on, and plus agriculture, manufacturing, the total, assets is $44 trillion.
So there's a mismatch.
Not just a mismatch. This is a 50 to 1 mismatch.
Yeah, 50 to 1.
Wherein your debt is 50 times bigger
bigger.
than the total assets of the whole world. So it is a bankrupt situation, and that's what we're facing now. It is blown up. They can't print up more money, they used to call quantitative easing, or because the interest to that is already higher than what they can print up.
So walang payback scheme yan,
Wala na.
actually.
It's no longer, it's dead end. So
Hindi ba kaya i-write off lang mga yan, yung mga
Ah.
bad debts, mga Franny May, mga nangyari
Fannie Mae.
2007, 2008?
this is what we're calling for. What we're saying is forget this speculative debt. Close down Wall Street. Stop all of this speculative.
You're talking of a
gobbledygook.
complete financial reform and change.
Yes.
But is
that's
there an
the only way.
alternative?
Yes.
What's the alternative?
Well, you go back. You go back to
Stage one.
creating what you call a credit-based system, wherein government, government, every sovereign government has the capacity to create credit. Why? Because
Based
it
on products and
guarantees,
services.
right?
Yes, yes,
it
yes.
guarantees the money that it prints up. If the government takes out all of this debt, all of those speculative investors, those na tumataya sa casino, we call that the Grand Casino, take them all out. If they want to kill themselves, maybe that's better. But get back the economy. Every sovereign nation can do this. They create government-issued credit, uses the commercial banking system to lend to directed industries, directed credit to certain industries.
Hindi yung trading.
Hindi. Wala yan. You have to use the money, you lend it at 1%, they lend it at 2%. no?
Down the line.
And then the businesses start moving, right? That money that you did is government guaranteed.
Right,
And that
right.
becomes, why do you guarantee? Because you will be producing goods, right?
Correct.
That will back up the
The
money that
that's
you had
being
issued.
pumped in, yes.
This is what Roosevelt had done, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, when he faced a bankrupt United States, which was then having a 53% unemployment rate.
This was
19
in the 30s,
1932,
Yeah,
right?
yes.
In the Great Depression.
the Great
no?
Depression.
1929 was the major crash, right? And he said, basically, he closed down Wall Street.
He did. He stopped
and
trading.
And he stopped the banks from using the depositors' money to speculate, and told the banks that they cannot foreclose on the homes of the people while they don't have jobs,
Hindi pwede.
because it was government's and
It was the guarantee.
responsibility.
Yes, yes, yes.
But they told the banks, this is one way you can recover, and you participate in this whole move. And Roosevelt turned around the United States in 1933, and soon it became a major power again. Soon their factories were producing, and they
Came up with a treaty, di ba? The
the Bretton Woods.
Bretton Woods Agreement.
That's towards the end.
mga 50s na yun eh.
No, Bretton Woods was started in 1945.
45.
And then soon after that, he passed away. Right?
Well,
But
Let's pick that up in a short. We're going to have to take a short break. Ladies and gentlemen, alam mo, it seems parang far-fetched. Ba't pakikinggan natin si Roosevelt? Ba't natin pakikinggan lahat to? Because all of this have bearing. Right here in the country, we have a lot of debts as well. Yep, in the credit cards, not everyone's paying. Believe me, that just keeps climbing. This is why interest rates are where they are, and which is why banks can become the horror for most people. Pag kinukuha na, pinoforeclose na yung bahay mo at kung ano man, bagsakan na, tatapakan ka pa, susunugin ka pa, pahihiyain ka pa. Stay with us, we'll be right back.